I have a problem. I'm currently in the middle of, I kid you not, 67 series. How did I get here, you ask? Well, I'm very good at reading the first book in the series and then completely forgetting about it. So today, we're changing that. Let's finish or catch up to some of the series that I'm currently in the middle of. We're gonna kick things off with the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber. I read the first book last year and was waiting for the rest of the series to be released in paperback, and now that we have it, it is time to read it. So I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed with Once Upon a Broken Heart. I enjoyed it, but I felt like it was overhyped. I am used to more from Stephanie Garber, and this one just didn't live up to my expectations, but I was intrigued enough to want to continue with the series. So now, we are going to dive into the Ballad of Never After, and I'm excited to read this one because I've heard that it's a lot of people's favorite, so hopefully I will enjoy it more than I did the first book, and I think I can finish that in one day. I don't know why, but the first book took me, honestly, a couple of hours to read, so I feel like I could devour this one as well. So now, enough yapping, and let's start reading.
The dark, 'cause once you let the light in, you won't see the beautiful stars shining down from afar. No, I ain't afraid of the dark. I don't mind the rain bringing life back. We can breathe again when dealing with the pain. No, I don't mind the rain. And ooh, that's the way it goes. Life will teach you what you need to know. And ooh, like a river flows, life will take you where you need to go.
What? It is the next day, and yes, I'm wearing the same outfit as yesterday, but I promised I changed my shirt. It's not the same, I promise. Anyway, last night I did finish reading The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, and my thoughts with this one are fairly similar to what I felt while reading Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is meh. I honestly don't really understand the hype with this one. It feels overly simplistic. The plot is fine, I guess. It's not riveting, but it's interesting enough to get me to continue reading. But I'll be honest, I feel like the characters are frustrating, especially Evangeline. She's kind of stupid, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like so many times she says like, oh, I shouldn't trust this character because they're gonna stab me in the back. Or, oh, I bet that this is the truth because it would make sense, right? But then she's like, no, there's no way. And then later on, she gets backstabbed by that character that she shouldn't have trusted, or the thing that wasn't supposed to be real because like it didn't make sense is actually the truth. And I'm like, we knew that. How did you not know that? Like, how is that surprising to you? I just find that some of the plot twists are not really plot twisting. They're not really surprising. Though I'll be honest, the ending really kept me on my feet. I was not expecting that ending. Though like some of it frustrated me a little bit, but overall, good plot twist at the end. This is the only part where I was like, oh, okay, I'll continue reading. This is the only reason why I'm considering finishing the series, because truthfully, I just have not really been excited to read this. I haven't really been looking forward to continuing the series if it wasn't for that ending. Overall, it feels very average, almost mediocre, to be completely honest. And I hate to say this because I remember loving Caraval. I say Caraval weird, right? It's Caraval. Anyway, I remember loving that series when I read it back in the day, but I'm wondering now if it's just that I was younger and if I would feel the same if I reread it now. Anyway, we will be starting A Curse for True Love because I'm gonna finish a series. Especially with that ending, I'm more inclined to want to pick it up. But let's be honest, I'm kind of just reading it to get it over with and mark the series as read because I'm just ready to move on. It's a shame though because those covers are stunning. No! Wait, does that mean that we're getting multiple perspectives in this book? Ooh, that's interesting. Wait. I just realized something. Tell me why it took me getting to book 3 in the series to finally start enjoying myself. What's happening with this book? I am having such a great time. I'm so invested. I'm having so many reactions while reading, which usually for me is a sign that I'm really engaged in what I'm reading. I think it might be the multiple perspectives that is adding like another layer to the story, and it's just making me enjoy this a lot more because finally we're not only following Evangeline. So far I'm on page 114 and I'm already like gasping and low-key screaming because what the hell? To be honest, I'm a sucker for this trope, and I cannot tell you what the trope is because I fear I would be spoiling the series, but it's so good. I am obsessed. Am I gonna be disappointed? Hopefully not. I know a lot of people don't like this one and they're fans of the series, so I know it let down a lot of people. Hopefully I won't be one of them. Guess time will tell. Officially finished A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, and I've been trying to detangle my thoughts for the last like 10 minutes, and I think I have it figured out. So I am going to give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It is absolutely my favorite book in the series. That being said, do I think that this series is worth the hype? Not in my opinion, though the ending for me made it worth it. And I know I'm against the tide here. I know a lot of people said that this was their least favorite book in the series, and I can see why in some regards. So for me, the first 300 pages were super compelling, super engaging. I understood some of the complaints that I've seen going around, but for the most part, it just really worked for me. The tropes that were there just worked in my favor because there are things that I usually enjoy, and for me, they made it a more interesting story. One of the things that I've seen people complain about with this one is that the main couple is not together nearly enough, but in my case I just felt like this left more room for them to yearn and pine for each other, and it worked really well in my opinion. In the first 2 books I almost thought that they were together way too often. I was like, how does that make sense? Like, it does for the plot, but I just felt their relationship had kind of reached a plateau, so I was glad to see them being apart for a bit. It just made the story more interesting, but I can see if you've been rooting for these characters from the start, it might be a little disappointing to see them apart more in this book. And I don't want to go into the details as to why, but personally I loved that aspect of it. I just don't want to spoil you guys if you haven't read it, but in my case it worked really well and I enjoyed the story for the most part. There are some things that I thought could have been better explained, especially the last 80 pages, and that's kind of where it lost me a bit. I had to kind of rethink my rating for a bit because I was like, this does not make sense. This ending does not answer all of the questions that you may have when you start book 1. Because I had forgotten a lot, there are a lot that I wasn't really interested in knowing, but there are things that I truly did not understand. Like, I low-key had to ask ChatGPT to explain the ending to me because I was like, this does not make sense. How is that possible? Why? I need an explanation and it's not said in the book. So I had to ask ChatGPT and now I get it. But I don't know if it's me being dumb or the book is not clear enough, but I didn't understand the ending. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a solid ending, but there was a massive piece of information that should have been included, I think, but wasn't there. And so I had to kind of figure it out. But other than that, there's one other thing that I think really elevated the reading experience for me, and is the multiple POVs. As I said, I think it was in a previous update, Evangeline was low-key insufferable in my opinion. I thought she was so dumb. And in this book, like, her stupidity, I guess, played in her favor. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to be mean because I know some people love this character, but for me, she felt so unidimensional or just very dumb, very naive. And so I think what happened in this book just made her more palatable, I guess. I didn't mind so much reading from her POV, but the fact that we've added other points of view in this book just made the reading experience more interesting. Granted, it did give room to characters that honestly I did not care about. And I kind of wish that they had taken less space in the book, but at the same time I understand why the author did it that way. So overall, I would say it's a solid ending. For me at least, it worked really well. Is it a series that I would reread or recommend? Not particularly. I do think it's still overhyped, but the ending kind of made it worth it. And obviously, like, these books are so easy to read. So if you have them on your shelves and like you've been wanting to read them, I wouldn't say don't read it. I can see why people love it because the vibes are there. If you are in the mood for a fairy tale that is heavy on the romance, this one delivers. But I do think that there are better YA stories out there, in my personal opinion. Anyway, with that, we have completed our first series of this challenge. I am not sure what I'm going to be picking up next. It is kind of late, so I'm going to go to bed, and I think we're going to pick up something else tomorrow. I just don't know what exactly, so I'll catch you guys up once we get there. It's a new day and I'm starting a new series in a new setting. I'm back at my parents' place for a couple of days, and obviously I had to bring you guys along so that we could continue to catch up the series. So I am currently reading The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. This is book 3 in the Vancouver Storm series, which is a series of interconnected standalone hockey romances that are following different hockey players from this hockey team. I wasn't planning on continuing the series, to be honest. I thought I had 2 more books to read to be caught up, and so I wasn't planning on including it in this vlog because I felt like I wanted to just read the one book and be done with a series. But as it turns out, book 4 is not actually out. I thought it was out for some reason, but it's coming out mid-June, so I only have this book to read in order to be caught up. So I thought, you know what? It's the perfect time for me to read a hockey romance. It's been a while and I'm just in the mood for something fun, lighthearted, and quick. And this is exactly what this is going to give. So we're giving it a try. I am currently 20% of the way through, so I have a grasp on what the story is about. So we are following Hayden and Darcy. And Darcy broke up with her ex-fiance and they dated for 8 years, but now she's single and ready to mingle. And so she moves in with Hayden, who is her ex-fiance's best friend, but also one of her best friends because they've known, all 3 of them have known each other since college and they just continued to stay friends as it went on. But now she's moving in with Aiden, and Aiden has always had a crush on Darcy, and Darcy also kind of has a crush on Aiden, but neither of them want to admit it. So Aiden is going to help Darcy to become a better flirt and just better at dating because Darcy just wants to get back out there. She doesn't want to be moping around. She wants to move on. And Aiden is kind of this player, or he's known as a player, and so Darcy thinks he's the perfect fit to just help her get out of her shell and just date more. But yeah, things get complicated because they both have feelings for each other, and it's very obvious from the start. I am 20% in, as I said, and already so much has happened. I feel like you're just dropped in the story, and it's one of those where even though like it's a standalone and it stands on its own, I feel like you have to have read the first 2 books to truly understand the layers of their relationships. Like, we get to know more of Aiden's feelings, especially in the previous book, and so I feel like if you haven't read that, even though it's hinted at in here and it's kind of explained, it's better if you have read the first 2 books because you understand Aiden as a character better, but also his feelings for Darcy and how he feels about the whole thing. So it's kind of weird compared to the other 2 that were completely separated. This one is a little bit more complex. It has a little bit more layers than the other 2, but it's still fine on its own. I will admit that it's moving a little fast. As I said, it starts very abruptly, and I don't mind a romance that starts like, let's go, we're already in the tropes and all of it. But this one, I don't know why, it was kind of jarring. In the first 2 books, it wasn't as abrupt, or maybe I'm misremembering, but I just felt like we started and we were already like, okay, they're moved in. She's already asked him like a chapter in to be her dating coach, and I don't know, it just felt like it was moving very fast. And like, I'm 20% in and they already have gone out on a first fake date, and already like they're having feelings for each other. Darcy has just admitted to having a crush on Aiden, and I'm just like, okay, but what the hell? Can we breathe a little bit? Like, I feel like there's a lot of information coming in, but at the same time, I feel like it's perfect for what it is. I know it's going to be a really quick read, and that's exactly what I'm in the mood for, so it's great. But for some reason, it just kind of took me off guard. But so far, I'm enjoying it. It's lighthearted, it's fun. It reminds me a lot of the first 2 books in the tone tone. It's very breezy, flirty, bantery, whatever adjective you can come up with, it's that. I feel like it's fun, but I don't necessarily have a lot of thoughts on the characters or anything. So far, I don't really, like I see their connection, but I'm not connecting to either of them, really. I'm kind of feeling something for Aiden. I feel like he's easier to connect to, but Darcy, I'm just like, I don't really know you. I want to get more information on you, but we're really early on, so it's normal. Overall, I'm having fun, so I'm gonna continue reading this. I honestly think I could finish it in one sitting. It does say that I have about 4 hours left of the book, and I don't know that I have 4 hours of reading left of my day, but I honestly feel like I could just breeze through this. So we'll see if I end up finishing it tonight or if we just take our time a little bit more with it, but I have a feeling it's gonna be a really easy one to finish. Great news, I have just finished reading The Wingman by Stephanie Archer, and with that, we're caught up with another series. First, before I dive into my review, I just want to apologize if you can hear any background noise. They're doing construction work right next to my house, and it's been going on all day, so apologies if it's bothering you. I'll try to make this quick. I don't really have much more to add to what I said previously with this book. I am giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was fine, but I'll be honest, I was kind of expecting more out of this story. We've been teasing Darcy and Hayden for like 2 books now, and now that I finally read their book, I was expecting a little bit more pining and yearning, and as I've said before, I feel like we went through the story really quickly. We started off and they were already like fake dating, and it just feel like they were going really fast, and yes, it took like, I don't know, 90% to get them to admit their true feelings towards one another, but we knew from page 1. So I don't know, usually there's a little bit of will they, won't they, but in this case, I just feel like we powered through their relationship. And while it was a quick read, definitely I managed to read that in like, I want to say 2 sittings, 6 hours maybe. I just feel like I was expecting more out of this, and unfortunately I'm a little bit let down. That being said, I feel like it's on par with the rest of the series. If you enjoyed the first 2 books, I think you're gonna enjoy this one. So overall, I'm glad that I'm finally caught up, because I am very excited to read book 4, because the characters that are going to be featured in that one, I'm sure it's going to be chef's kiss. It's a marriage of convenience trope, so very excited for mid-June. But for now, we're caught up. I already have decided which series I'm going to be starting next, but I'm actually taking a little break from reading today, so I will get back to you once I start the next series. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a few days. I've been busy, but I did manage to start a new book. So I'm currently reading Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave by El Cosimano. This is book 5 in the Finlay Donovan series, and I am currently on page 219. So you would think that I would have updated you guys a lot sooner. And yes, I was busy, but also for some reason, this book is taking me forever to read. This is the shortest book I've read so far this week. It's 305 pages, but it's taking me forever to get into it, and I'm not sure why, because usually I fly through Finlay Donovan books, but this one is just low-key boring. The first 60 pages or so, I was really distracted while reading it, and I thought it was just a me case, you know? I was not in the best reading setup, so I thought it might just be my mindset and just overall being distracted and not feeling like picking up a book. But the more this has gone on, the less interested I am in the story. We are 219 pages in, and I feel like nothing has really happened so far. The plot of this one is that there's a body that's been found at Finlay's neighbor's house, and she's trying to solve the case because the neighbor is actually living with her and it's a bit crazy at her house, and she just wants that neighbor to be out the door. Usually I love Finlay Donovan books because they get a little silly, a little crazy, but this one I'm missing the silly goofy times that we usually get. I feel like Vero and Finlay are not necessarily getting up to the same antics as usual, and while it makes sense because like they can't always be as crazy as the first couple of books, I just feel like it's lacking. I want a little bit more of the silliness that we have in the first few books. I feel like this one is just plain boring. They've been investigating, but they don't really have any solid leads, and I don't know, I just am not interested in the plot, and I thought I would be because the setup sounded interesting when I finished off the last book and it was announced that this was going to be the plot for this, I was like, ooh, that's going to be super intriguing, especially as there's a big piece that involves Finlay in this, and I can't really mention it without spoiling it, but I thought that it would be more, I don't know, involving knowing that. But I have been low-key bored reading this, and it's a shame because I usually love the series, and I know for a lot of people who loved the first few books, they have DNF the series because they don't really love the books anymore. They feel kind of boring and just not as fun as the first few, and I get that. And I didn't think that would be my case because I've enjoyed all of the books so far. Like, yes, I have enjoyed the new books less and less because I feel like it's getting a little bit over the top, but it's kind of what I like about this series, and this one is just lacking in that department. So unfortunately, so far, I'm not really having a grand time with this. However, I do have like less than 100 pages left to read, so we're gonna finish the book so that we can finally catch up to the series. And depending on the ending, I might not continue on. It might be a series that I DNF, I don't know. I love the first couple of books, like the first two specifically were really solid for me, but after that it kind of went downhill, and I'm enjoying it, but not as much as I did when I first started the series, which is unfortunate. Anyway, let's get reading so that we can finally cross this off our list. So I did end up finishing Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave, and I think the ending made it worth it in the end. I liked how the author wrapped everything up, especially some of the storylines that we've been kind of dragging around since the first book. So overall, I feel like the ending elevated my reading experience a bit, and that's why I'm settling on a 3 out of 5 star rating. Was it my favorite in the series? Absolutely not. It's probably my least favorite installment so far. That being said, I am probably going to continue picking these up, but I might not be as in a rush to pick the rest of the series as my enjoyment has been dwindling down since book 1. But overall, not a bad book by any means. With that, I think we're gonna wrap up this reading experiment here. I am so glad that I took the time to do this week, because not only did I manage to read some of the series that I'm currently in the middle of, but I also had such a great time filming this and reading the books, and it kind of made me excited to continue some of the series that I'm currently reading. So it might motivate me to do this again in the future. Let me know if this is something that you guys would want to see again, but even if I don't end up filming a vlog for it, I'm most likely going to continue series I am currently in the middle of, because as you guys know, I am in desperate need to be doing that. So in the end, we managed to finish 1 series and caught up to 2, which is exciting. And I guess that's it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!